So listen, two coaches sitting and talking to each other. You're the first official coach that I have on this show, so that's perfect. But first tell me, look, you were a CFO in Big Pharma. You left everything and now you're a coach. What gives?
What a story, right?
I'll tell you what, you're giving the wrong impressions to the viewers that coaching will make you more money than CFOs. And I don't think this is true.
I like that. That's actually the question that I got all the time. Did you make it, No, I did that, but that wasn't the plan at the beginning. I didn't leave my career to become a coach. I had no idea that I wanted to be a coach, neither an entrepreneur. That wasn't the plan. I just left because I realized something was wrong and I wasn't happy anymore. Not because of the job, but just because I didn't feel connected to myself anymore. And so I just decided to leave. It was too much. I don't recommend to do what I did, but I just left because I needed to figure out who I am. That's really what happened. So I needed a break. I needed to stop being always working, having responsibilities, dealing with stuff. I just needed to relax and to understand how come, despite the money, the title, the responsibilities, the recognition, despite all of that, how come I couldn't find the satisfaction that I should have? And so that's really what led me to stop my career first. Then on the way, I discovered coaching, and on the way, I was like, okay, why not? I think I can help people on a certain topic, and that's how I became a coach. So
listen, a lot to unpack here, but first, why don't people or shouldn't do what you did? What happened?
Because it's risky. You need to be very driven. You need to be resilient, and you need to know why you're fighting. And I was convinced that there was a way where we could make money and be happy. And I say that, and it sounds cheesy, and people don't believe me, and they're saying that's not true, you don't understand, but I do believe that. And so because I was convinced of that, I was sure that no matter what happened, I'm going to make it again. And worst case scenario, have a good CV, I could apply for a job, The worst case scenario is always what drives me. I'm like, this is the positive and the best case, but what is the worst case? The worst case wasn't that bad. Worst case scenario, I lose a certain amount of money. I wasted my time, if I can say, which I don't think you waste because you learn a lot of things. And I go back to finance. So that's how I try to see things. That really was reassuring for me. And yes, but if you just do it because, let's say you're waiting for something to happen after you quit and just magically don't do anything about it, nothing will happen. You have to work hard. You have to work hard to understand what you want, where you want to go, what is the strategy, and what are you looking for in your life. I think that's the work.
Would you say harder than when you were an employee or less? Harder?
Yeah. It's... I'm sure you heard about this. Tony Robbins says the science of achievement and the art of fulfillment.
Okay. Yes.
So the science of achievement, meaning that when you want to reach a goal, which is achieving something, let's say you want to get fit, exactly, or KPI at work or a certain level in your career, there's a bunch of action that you need to do in order to get there.
Step by step by step.
Exactly. And if you achieve those steps, you have 99.9 chances to get there. If you want to get fit, you start eating healthy, you go to the gym, you start to get fit, all right? That's kind of science. Exactly. It's a process. Of course, you can fail in between, but still there is a bunch of action that if you follow that, you'll get to a result.
That's the key word. If you follow that, then
Exactly. Now, if you go to fulfillment, which was my issue, which was what really I was looking for before even building a business or anything, that's very tricky because, first of all, my fulfillment can be completely different from yours. So is there really a B, C, D plan that you need to follow in order to get where you want to be? Not really. I think you need to know yourself. You need to get the clarity around who you are and what you want in life. But, with time and with years, our subconscious is used to a certain thing. We're not really aware, and I didn't take the time, before to really look at myself. So it was like completely blurry. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know what to do. Everything that I was reading wasn't really resonating with me. And so, I think that is much more difficult because you're going to the root of yourself. You're talking about certain topics that are very close to you, sometimes very painful. And that was very painful for me to create that journey because I needed to accept certain things. And this acceptance is not easy. So,
You mentioned looking and knowing yourself multiple times. What does that mean?
It means understanding better what is it that you really want in your life and what matters to you in life.
Okay.
And the reason why you do what you do. For example, the reason why you do this podcast. What is it? I understand there is maybe a business strategy, but certainly there are some emotion that you're looking for behind that. And so that's really understanding that. And from my experience, the main question was, why am I always looking to achieve more? Because I feel I like it. I'm very ambitious, so I like it.
Okay.
But why am I doing that? What am I looking for in that? And what type of emotion am I looking for? Is it that I want to be proud? Is it that I want to make people proud? Is it that I judge people based on their performance or their title? So I want to be there because if I'm not a CFO, if I'm not a CEO, if I'm not performing, I feel I'm nothing. Those questions are for me mandatory because they are the reason why you do everything.
Is that your definition of figuring out your own self, or is there a general definition? Like if someone now is listening to you and it's like, yeah, I know all of that, but I still don't understand what is discovering myself before we go into the how?
I think it's a journey. And there are some different things to do. I don't think there is a definition, or maybe I'm not aware, but the way I see it is, how curious are you about yourself? And when did you stop asking yourself those questions? Again, it's maybe related more to my target and the people that I work with or my personality.
Yeah.
But I feel that there's a lot of very ambitious people. They have that fire inside them that they had when they were younger.
Okay.
And they want to achieve everything. Yes. They want to eat the world, that.
Yeah.
And with time, that fades away.
Yes.
Because of responsibilities, because of kids. Sometimes I'm telling you, I'm quoting what people say, because, you need the money to survive and all of these things.
It usually happens in the second half of the 30s, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. When you start having a family most of the time, and so you feel tight and you can't really use that fire. And so the question that I ask them is, what is this fire telling you? What is it that you would do?
That's a trigger point.
I think so. Because that's a big driver. And people like that can achieve wonderful things for themselves and for the world. And so why not empowering them to finding back this fire, to take action towards something that truly inspires them? Because the minute you start lighting up this fire, everything changes. And that works for everyone. What I mean is that not everyone wants to achieve a lot of things, but still being aligned with what you truly want is so important.
And that should be enough reason for people to actually start on this. I like what you said, journey.
Yeah.
It's not the destination. It's not somewhere you arrive. It's something that you slowly unpack in your own self. And you might need help. You might get people who would influence you or guide you, but no one will be able to do it except you.
Sure.
Correct? And right. if you're not intentional about it, if you're not deliberate about it, it won't happen by accident. Unless for the lucky ones, let's put it that way.
Yes, but are they really lucky though when it happens to them? Because they didn't put the work, they didn't go through the journey,
Oh, okay.
And what makes it fun is because you're learning and growing. That's what makes it fun.
I like that.
If you get everything to you, I see people saying, oh, they're so lucky, they grew up with everything. I'm like, they're not lucky. That's not being in luck, because those people will struggle in the future. Because there are things that you're learning along the way that are so important for you to grow, for you to get the confidence.
Especially if you fail along the way.
Of course, failure is
sad. They have their ups
sad.
and downs, and the times that you are down, because you're in touch with yourself and you're able to kind of deliberately understand what the feelings and what made you be in that position, you're able to maneuver it later on.
Completely.
So it's a concept of earned versus assumed. So it's you earn your own self-awareness.
Yes, you do. And as you said, if you are not for it, if you're not ready to change, if you don't want to, move forward, if it's not coming from you, nothing is going to happen. You can work with many people. It's not going to happen. I always say the first step to that change is being honest with yourself. But I think so. You have to be honest, saying, that's actually not making me happy today.
What does being honest with yourself mean? Because I always struggle with this definition, right? I mean, let's say, for example, me and my client, I can lie to my client because he will never know what's in my intention, right? Mm-hmm. I can say something just to make him purchase or buy. Mm-hmm. How can I lie to myself or not be honest with myself?
I think it's because your motivation are different, are not... Maybe I think it's because your motivation are something else. Your intention is not...
Intentions.
Yes, I think it's come with intention. And again, how do you do things intentionally? By understanding why you're here. If you go into a call with a potential client and your intention is to make a sale, you will do everything that you can to make a sale. Where if your intention is first to connect with the person, understand the person, making sure that you can really add value to the person, you will focus on that more than making a sale. Does that mean that you're not closing at the end? Not necessarily, but that's a different approach to things.
Wow.
And that is, again, I guess, according to how much you reflect and you know why you do what you do.
That's crazy. Okay. So this is the first time that I hear it. Connect with yourself. Oh, so see, first 15 minutes and I learned something new. That's amazing, Lucie. No, honestly, because I always struggle with this being true to yourself, being honest with yourself. I mean, I'm like, I know myself. I know when I'm lying and I know when I'm being deceitful and I know when I'm being honest. So how does being honest is like knowing your intention, checking in with your intention. So if I'm on a call with a client, if I'm going to make a sale, I should know that I'm here to make a sale and not deceive myself and thinking, okay.
Like if you go to a networking event, if you go to meet genuine people, you will act and talk in a different way than if you want to do business. It does the same in your relationships. If you go into a relationship, a love relationship in that case, where you just want to be recognized for your money and you want to feel, that you're superior, that's exactly what is going to happen and what you're going to attract. So it's really that alignment between what is it that you want and what is it that you do. And when you align that...
The intention and the behavior.
Exactly, completely. Now, it's not that easy because sometimes you need to have discussion with people in order to realize, our subconscious is very present. As you know, I'm not telling you anything new. But so it's interesting, I think, to be curious about that subconscious. I think there is a quote from someone saying that, it's not exactly the quote, okay? But I think it's something like this. Maybe you will recognize it, saying you will do things, things will happen in your life and you will call it faith, where actually it's just your subconscious that is
manifesting,
driving you.
I heard it, yes,
so
yes.
It's really that, it's being curious about why am I happy in that situation? Why am I not happy here? Why am I happy in that relationship? And why am I not happy here? And being curious about yourself. And that's what I had in mind when I say to be honest with yourself is accepting that there are things where you're not good at and accepting that you don't know sometimes. Sometimes we don't know. And that's where the work needs to be done.
But what about my ego? I'm the best. I'm the biggest. I'm the boss. How can I accept that?
I think that there is a pain that most people with a big ego have. And they know. I'm sure that listening to that, they will recognize them. I am sure 100%. And I think that's the pain, this pain that whenever you don't do anything, whenever you don't work, whenever you don't spend time with people, when you're alone, how do you feel? And most of the time, people who have a big ego, it's a big protection. They don't know how to deal with their emotion and they feel very empty. They feel like no one understands them. They feel very lonely. And that is what will drive them to change because they realize that it's not the lifestyle that they want to have anymore. Someone who is in a phase where it's all about ego and showing off and being the best, and they wouldn't even listen to that conversation. They will be like, no, I don't want to grow, and I'm not interested by that. And that's okay. We all go through phases, But I think whenever you want to change and whenever the change is going to start, it's when the pain become bigger than the ego. And when you start realizing that, you know what, it's not working for me anymore, I'm tired. basically.
When the pain becomes bigger than the ego.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Wow.
That's deep, right?
That's very deep. Hey, listen, I need a sip of water because
I'll do the
otherwise...
same.
When the pain becomes bigger than the ego. That's a dangerous, dangerous statement, Lucie.
It's always, a question of balance.
I know, but you know why it's dangerous? What if my ego is too big? Then probably the pain will be fatal.
It's possible. Listen, not everyone is, again, on the same journey. Not everyone live the same way. It's really about what you want, again. If you're happy living like this, then that's great. But if you feel that you're frustrated every day, if you think that, you want to stop being in control of everything, if you feel that whenever you have an argument with someone, you're very angry and frustrated on the moment because you want to be right or because you think this is not the right way of doing things. And when you're at home, you're like, I feel tired of those situations. Like no one understands what I'm saying. And if you have that frustration anyway, at some point it will be too much. Because I think mostly nowadays we talk a lot about personal development, about mental health. So I think more and more we are realizing that there is another way of living. But what I see is that we get used to that ego and that anger,
Yes. When we normalize it, right?
Exactly. And we get things done that way.
Yes.
So why changing?
And that's a positive feedback to my own negative behavior, which makes me double down. That's the point. So, that takes me to a thought of, I don't know if you know the Dunning-Kruger theory, which says, well, the Dunning-Kruger theory, it says there's a group of people that are so incompetent to realize their own incompetence. I say it's a group of people that are so egocentric to realize that they are so egocentric, if that makes sense. So how do you deal with that?
I don't deal with that because if they don't want to change, I'm not going to make them change.
Take personal responsibility.
Exactly. That's not, I think my role as a coach is just to help someone when they are ready to change, when they want to change. I'm not convincing anyone to change because that's none of my business. Everyone is expert on their own life. I'm not, who am I to give advice to people saying you need to change right now? So
I love this book. I don't know if you've seen it before. Advice Trap. So it's it talks about the advice monster in any one of us, and everyone who says anything, the first thing that we want to do, do this and do that, and don't do this and don't do that. So I remind myself with that when you said that. But now, I don't know what to say. It's just crazy because to me, dealing with people is about, is this person in touch with himself or herself or not? Are they egocentric or not? Because if they are, then nothing can change. But I don't accept that. I don't know, like the nerd in me doesn't accept that. Now, that doesn't mean that I have to change the world. I have to change everyone. Not at all. I have enough issues that I need to change myself. But at the same time, it's just have that thought of me in the sense of if you and I, people who are in touch with ourselves and people like us have that thought process of, he is not in touch with himself, or he is or she is so egocentric, or they are not true to themselves, then there's nothing I can do. The world will be polarized between those people and then those people. And
I see what you mean. I think if I don't know the person and the person is egocentric, or the person, I don't know if they are in touch with themselves or not because I don't know them. I need to know someone to know that. But if someone is egocentric, what I do is not that I avoid talking to them, but if it's not in a coaching platform, just like if networking or anything, I just put my ego on the side and I listen and I ask questions. And surprisingly, people are changing. I mean, they change the way they talk to you.
Because of you lowering your guards and being vulnerable.
Yes, exactly. It's all about understanding the person that you have in front of you and how you talk to them. If someone wants to take the space, I leave them the space. I really don't care about that. You can create insight in anyone's mind. It's just about how you talk to them and how you manage. This is emotional intelligence, basically. Yes. It's just about, I understand my emotion, what's going on in me and what's going on in the environment. I also guess from what I see, what the person is looking for in a conversation, and I just adapt to that. That doesn't mean, because a lot of time people are telling me, yeah, but then you're not authentic. No, that is not true. I still say what I think and what I want to say, but I say it in a different way that the person in front of me can actually listen what I have to say. Because even someone who is, let's say, very egocentric, if you give orders, or if you give advice, if the person doesn't feel heard or seen, nothing is going to happen. You can have the best strategy in the world, they're not going to listen to you. But if you talk to them in the way that they can receive the message, that's different. Now, the message that I'm sending to the person who is egocentric is not you need to change. It's just, hey, we can have a normal conversation where you and me, we actually learn from each other. And you are right. You are very good. You are amazing. But maybe, we can have a conversation. And that I think helps people to, start seeing the world a bit differently and thinking, oh, I had a conversation with that person. Actually, that was nice. It's the first time that I'm talking about those things. And that is going to, create something inside them.
And maybe, going back to when the pain is higher than or bigger than the ego, there's a big chance that probably they don't realize it. They're not even feeling the pain. They're numb about the pain because of the every time I sit with the CEO or with a head of an organization, they always tell me it's always lonely at the top. I'm sure you heard this.
Yeah.
Now, but they don't recognize it as a pain. They think this is how it is.
I don't know. I think they know. Maybe they don't really communicate that. How can it be not painful to be lonely?
No, they know it's painful, but they don't know otherwise.
Okay. They don't think there is another way.
Yes, they think that this is how it is.
Exactly, like success. If you make money and if good amount of money and you are successful, it's normal to be busy. It's normal to work on holidays. It's normal to feel like crap. It's normal to not have a good relationship with your wife or your kid. It's normal to not see your kids. All of this, we think it's normal.
Yes.
And when they see another way of doing it, they believe you don't make money. As the beginning of our discussion, do you make money as a life coach and can that replace the CFO? Yes, but you don't see it because you think that life is only like that.
Yeah.
But it's not. There are people who are 18 years old selling things online. They are becoming a billionaire.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
True.
It's not me. It's like other people. So you're right. They don't seem to see that there is something else. But when they start accepting that they don't want that anymore, and again, maybe the pain becoming bigger.
When they realize the pain
exactly.
becomes bigger.
And they long for something else.
And that's the discussion that you mentioned when you start talking to them. Then you kind of enlighten them on, no, there is something. It doesn't have to be that way.
Sure.
And the moment it kind of surfaces into their awareness in a way that gives them this aha moment. It's like, now they know.
Yeah, they do.
Then what?
And I wanted to say something that is very interesting when you show that book also, and in relation to this, I believe that people who are saying this, who are lonely at the top, let's say, they don't have conversation about it. Never. They can't talk to anyone. And when they do, they receive advice from people who are talking from their own judgment, their own fear. It can be your partner saying, oh my God, you can't change your career. We're going to, lose the money. It's not possible. The friend who is saying, are you crazy? Look at your position. You never go, why would you change that? It's amazing. Like, come on, and I was there. And Simon Sinek said there's a lot of self-help book, but not a lot of how to help others. And I think that's what they're having. They don't have any conversation. So just having a conversation with someone who is telling them, you know what, you can do it. Look what you've built in a corporate.
They're absolutely competent. 100%.
Of course. So you can do it. And having someone, for anyone, having someone who is telling you, you have a dream or you want to do that, it doesn't have to be entrepreneurship. It can be changing career.
Yeah.
You want to do that? Why don't you do it? It's amazing. Go for it. If you think about it, no one says that. So I think only having that in a conversation saying, I think you can do it. And let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen, yeah.
That already, is something that people want to hear, I think. And that's the start. That's the start.
So here we are. I'm this boss who was always competent, obviously. I know what I'm doing. Everybody comes to me with problems and I'm with a flick of my fingers, things happen, and I have a bunch of yes men and women around me, and everybody wants to just make sure that they present the best face for them. So I feel lonely, not because like every morning I'm a big boss. Every morning I wake up in the morning, I see 50, 60, 100 messages on my WhatsApp and emails. And so like I have no shortage of human buddies around me, right? But still I feel lonely. Now I know. My other problem is, how do I know, or where do I find that individual that will actually partner with me in a thought-provoking, creative way to allow me to uncover that pain and say, there is another way. How do I find it? Because, come on,
it's
Lucie.
hard. Yeah, I know. It's not easy, but that's why we do what we do, right? We try to communicate as much as we can on what we do. My role as a coach in what I share is to describe exactly the problem that I had. So maybe someone would relate and think, oh, she understands, and I think she can help me. So in your surrounding, I don't know, because you need to talk, and usually these people don't really want to talk or don't really know how to talk, but still talking about your issue is the way to find the person. So being a bit more vulnerable and saying, you know what, I'm tired of this, like, and you see the reaction of people. If they don't understand, they don't understand. But maybe one day in your inner cycle, in other leaders who are going through the same thing, if you share it and say, man, you know, like it's difficult. I don't know how to deal with that. If you start opening like that, you have more chances to find people that are in the same situation. And maybe by exchanging your thoughts, you can start, you know, helping each other, because everyone feels the same. Everyone, for sure.
So let me bring it back to Dubai and to the GCC and to our area. How long have you been living here in this region?
2 years.
2 years, okay. So
I'm still a baby.
You still have fresh perspective. That's fantastic, because I have a lot to say about how cultures are different. Now, this is my field of interest. I love talking about cultures, not because of obviously any judgmental way of saying it or seeing it. It's just to know if we need to change, first we have to identify what is it we need to change.
Sure.
One thing that I've noticed about this part of the world is that people are crazy about saving face, presenting their best face or best image forward. They don't like confrontation. They hate confrontation. They run away from confrontation. They're extremely nice and courteous to the point that they cannot say no. That's why, I don't know if you heard about it, the Inshallah culture. Have you heard this?
I heard about it, yes.
So Inshallah culture, now technically, so technically, just in case people don't know, the Inshallah culture, the culture behind it is maybe not 80% not. But I'm not going to say no, because if it's yes, it's Inshallah. Now, the original way of the meaning behind it is Inshallah means 100% definitely, unless God wills otherwise, which is I'm dead, something else happens, and so on and so forth. But otherwise, it means I will. Now it has been reformatted and reshaped simply because I'm putting someone else, God in this case, as the excuse and not me. So if I say no, I didn't say no. So I'm avoiding that confrontation. So again, avoiding confrontation, avoiding failure, presenting the best face forward, making sure that I always look the best, present myself the best. How can I lower my guards and be vulnerable if I've been living all my life like this and the entire society around me is like this?
You have to be the first one. You have to be the first one to show the way. I understand perfectly, it's not easy in that culture, but that's why we're trying to inspire people to be more like that. And it is a culture thing, so it's not just a personality thing. It's really around
a society.
But I've noticed that from my experience, which is short here, but still I always emphasize on being myself, saying the truth, being vulnerable. When I don't know something, I would say, I don't know that. Even in front of people for who it's not a KPI for performance. So if you say you don't know, they will say, oh, she's not competent, for example. Or if you dress a certain way, they will assume that you're not that competent. But I really empower people to use that to their advantage and to change their mindset around that. And I know it's not easy because there is a culture, but if you are at the top of a company, you have a chance to change that.
Actually, I have an obligation to lead.
Absolutely. In the way that is true, in the way where people think they are empowered, they can grow. I know you talk a lot about innovation. This is how to create an innovating company, because people are not scared to just, raise their hand saying, hey, I've made a mistake, or hey, I have an idea which is out of the box. That's really, and I think Dubai is the perfect, even the Middle East, but Dubai is the perfect place for that, because we want to be the best in the world, right? We want to be the place that attract a lot of people. So you want to have a workplace where people feel empowered. Imagine if we say about Dubai, that's such a lovely place to be because it's safe to live, because the living conditions are amazing, but also to work. I'm meeting a lot of people. It's super innovative. There is a vibe around Dubai.
This chemistry that actually allows me and pushes me to not just perform and meet KPIs, but also voice ideas and take them to execution.
Yes. I think we don't, in general, we don't believe that performance can be fun. But for me, the peak performance that you will get in your life, in everything you do, is when you are inspired, when you're driven, when you have that mindset, you are unstoppable. But if you have someone who is hitting you on the head, or if you're doing it just because you want to be the best and you're in pain and you're frustrated every day, you are actually not using your potential at all. But if you start inspiring people, if you start being that person that show up and that say, you know what, it's okay. It's fine. You've made a mistake. How can we move past that? And how can we not make a mistake? Next step, you will be surprised the loyalty that you will gain from the people with you, but also how your company is going to generate much more revenue from new ideas. It can be any type of company, really.
Yes, yes.
I really believe in that. I think it's such a limiting belief that we have, that to perform, it has to be, very dark, and there is this dark side of performance. It's not easy, it's hard work, and sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. But if we are trusting each other, if we are, inspiring each other, and if we feel that we are growing and we have ideas and we are creative, that's another story.
And it has to come from the top. I mean,
for sure.
Many people were asking me, Sam, why are you taking your coaching credentials, and what's in innovation and coaching? How are they connected to each other? And the way you just so articulately link them together is amazing, because really it comes from the top.
Of course.
If the top leader is not able to be in touch with himself or herself, if they're not able to create that psychologically safe environment for people by modeling, not by saying, by modeling that, you know what, I don't know, and that's okay. Or I'm a risk taker, and this is how I take risks. You also can take risks, provided that you learn from the failure, if that, and so on and so forth. And that only happens if you're able to be in touch with yourself and be able to kind of be vulnerable and lower your guard. And that happens through the powerful questioning, isn't it?
It is. Innovation starts when someone raises their hand and say, I have an idea. I think...
No matter how stupid it is.
Exactly. And no one ever talked about it before. It hasn't been tested. I don't know if it's going to work, but I think that's going to work. You want to have that person to raise her or his hand in your company. But that will not happen if you're always in control, and so they just follow your orders because, they're scared of saying anything. If they are scared of taking risk, if you blame them because they made a mistake, all of that, this environment, you will not have innovation in that type of environment. So the only thing you can do is to promote them and help them to grow. But how do you help people to grow, and how can you be positive and tolerant and open-minded if you yourself, you have a big inner turmoil? If you are waking up, very frustrated every day, if you are going through so much in your mind, you don't have the clarity for yourself, you can't.
Yes.
I always take that example when let's say you just got a good news. Maybe something bad will happen after, but you will be more open. You'll be like, you know what, I'm happy today. It doesn't matter. Let's go and move past that.
Yes.
But if you just got a bad news, you'll be like, oh my God, it's terrible. And you'll
Even
be
if
maybe
it's the
shouting.
same bad news. Yes.
And you'll be shouting at the person, and you'll be much more close, So if we talk only about innovation, it is a must to have people at the top that can create that environment. And that starts with them. And that's why I do not say I'm a leadership coach, I'm an executive coach. I'm a coach because for me, I work with personal reconnection, which is, it starts by you.
The human person.
Exactly.
Yeah, the individual.
You can have the best communication skills. You can, have a lot of skills.
Yeah, presentation, public speaker, whatever. Yeah,
exactly.
But all those are facades.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're useful, right?
Yeah.
But what matters is, how do you feel? Because if you feel like crap, nothing will happen in your team. And actually, I work with a tool that we call the Mindset Factor Index. I don't know if you heard about it. Mm-hmm. We can get an X-ray of the mindset, and we've done many case studies where the mindset of the leader is exactly the mindset of the team. So when the leader changed their mindset, you can see how the team changed their mindset.
You mean biologically, like an X-ray for like an MRI for the brain?
No. It's like an MRI. So it's like a test, but you get a lot of graphs around what's going on in the mind. Is it the vision? Is it the fear? Is it the environment?
Of course.
You really get to the core of the person, and it gives you a picture of your mindset through different KPIs. And so when you do that test with the leader, you're surprised, or not surprised anymore, that the team has the exact same thing.
100%. So, I mean, you're echoing a clear theory in organizational culture and leadership, which is leadership and culture are two faces of the same coin.
True.
And every time I go and do organizational work with leaders, and they tell me, oh, my culture, I'm like, okay, I know, it's fine. I can't say you have to change, right? But then when I go inside and I see two types of cultures, either a culture that is based on fear because it's a control culture, it's authoritarian, it's central approvals, all that sort of stuff. Obviously, the leader is a control freak. Mm-hmm. He's someone who cannot let go because he has trust issues, he has competency issues, he has lots of issues that obviously trickles down, and then the culture is so limiting. Mm-hmm. And then the other type of culture, which is the extreme end, is the family, the clan type of culture, which is you have the father figure who knows it all, who every now and then someone has a problem, they go to him and like, can you help me? He's like, of course I can help you. And then he has this kind of savior complex, and then it has the same exact effect. The problem with these two is they are the worst cultures for innovation, but it's not the culture, it's them and their behavior, like you said.
Absolutely, it's coming from the leader. And it's coming from, I don't think it's a skill that they need to develop, like a hard skill. It can help, but I think the core of it is more understanding yourself.
Knowing
why is it important for you to control everything? Yeah, because I do it better than them, it's faster. Okay, but why do you still choose, knowing that doing that, giving that task to your other people will help them to make it better later, and they know that. But what is preventing you from doing that? What are you choosing to still do things like that? And that's a very personal question. That's something that is very close to them, and that's why every transformation, I think, starts by understanding yourself, knowing yourself better, and asking yourself those questions, because often we don't ask them. We just go.
Why do you think? Why don't they empower those type of leaders? Let's say that those type of leaders. We'll talk about those leaders in a second, but the control-oriented leaders, why don't they empower?
I think it gives them a lot of how do we say it? A lot of empowerment to take control, authority. But I also think that they it's not that they don't really trust other people. It's just that, I'm sure you heard about the saboteurs, right? From Positive Intelligence. Does that talk to you?
No.
So there is a guy who has done some research, and he talks about the saboteurs that we have in our mind. Okay. So he's saying we have the part of our brain that is fed by negative emotion and the positive side of things. Anyway, the saboteurs, he defined them into 10 saboteurs. It's like a little mean version of yourself. So we're talking about subconscious now, okay? Yes. And that little mean version of yourself is talking to you and is telling you to do certain things to ideally a potential happiness, but on the long term, it's not helping you. So when it comes to control, there is one called the stickler. And the stickler is this little voice telling you, if you do it, it will be better. It will be if you do it, you are sure that it's going to be done the right way, And the management of that, which is the management of your emotion, if you are not aware and if you don't know how to manage that, you will always end up doing that, those actions, and always not giving, the task to other people, because you will always want to take control, because you are sure that if you do it, you will do it better than other people. So it's not really about, when it comes to trust, I think it's always the trust in yourself and not really the trust in others.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because at the end of the day, it's trusting if you can recover from something wrong. That's how I see.
Oh, wow.
That's always how I see things.
I love that. Wait, let me have that sink in for a second. It's not the trust. It's not the lack of trust in the people. It's the lack of trust in myself to handle if it didn't go the way I wanted to go.
Exactly.
This is what you mean?
I think so.
Amazing.
And that works for everything. So you don't want to deal with those emotions.
That takes strength.
Yes.
It takes true strength to actually do that.
Because,
So if you're strong, test your strength here.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if something goes wrong, first of all, they are fearing that something goes wrong.
Yes.
And so they do it themselves because they think they know better, and they are sure that this is going to be done the way they want it to be done. Because they don't want to deal with the fact that if this person mess up, I will feel angry. I will feel frustrated. I have to clean up the mess, and I don't know how to manage those emotions. It's not nice. It makes me certainly they're thinking about it at night.
So I don't have trust in my own self in the way I handle. And it starts with awareness.
Absolutely. And so those people who are in that control environment, I think it's really about managing your emotion and understanding better your mind and what's going on, and being curious about this.
How do they do that?
You can start with introspection. I always say you can do
what's introspection?
So introspection is asking yourself some question, at least any question, but start asking yourself some question.
Okay. Can I go to ChatGPT and say, give me 10 questions for introspection?
You can, but at least you're working on yourself and try to answer those questions. Usually we wake up, let's say we go to the gym. If we go to the gym, take care of the kids, go to work, lunch, work, dinner, kid, Netflix, social media, and sleep, basically.
I like how you plugged in Netflix at the end. It's so culturally true. Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
Anything that you do, like for example. So we do that, and we complain also during the day. Oh, this is annoying, blah blah blah. But we don't really ask ourselves some question. And I've lived like this for many years, so I'm not blaming anyone. But I also realized that when I started to ask myself few questions, simple questions, my life started to change. And so I talk about night audits, which is before you go to bed.
Of course, CFO, night audit. I'm sure you have an Excel sheet where it's like, okay, the first question, and then what's the rating?
The worst thing is that, yes, I do. I created something.
Oh, goodness me.
I created something on Excel with like prompts for, work on your vision and on your fear and questions. But I'm really passionate about awareness and questioning.
The night audits of asking you, what's the first question?
So the night audit is not about what question. It's about when you close your eyes before sleeping, play back your day, and look at it and ask yourself simple question. Did I like my day? Why did I not like about my day? Did I wake up on time or not? Was I a good partner? Was I a good father or a good mom? What was the thing at work that pissed me off the most? Or what are the things at work that really I like to do today? Those little questions, simple. It does no script. Just be curious about your day. And see what you like, not like, why, what happened. It doesn't have to take 30 minutes, but just, and define one action to make the next day better. Simple. We all shut our eyes before sleeping. Just do it. You can do it in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It doesn't matter. For me, the first step is to be curious about ourselves. We are not curious about ourselves anymore. We just go through the motion, get the money, get the title, try to impress, whatever it is. We are so caught in that. And I'm not blaming that. I'm living in that too. But it is important to be curious about yourself, because we only have one life. Like when you're 80 and 90 years old, you don't want to be like, I wish I could have done that. Or what if I knew that? You don't want that. You want to be aware for you, for your kids, for your partner, for everyone. You want to, be inspiring and for people to do the same and to be curious. I really believe in that.
Okay, so it's night, closing my eyes, I'm going through the day. And while I'm going through the day, I've identified a few things that I know I liked, so I'm going to double down on.
Yeah.
And things that I didn't like, what do I do?
If you know how to fix it.
So that's introspection, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Introspection is your ability of introspect within yourself or answering questions.
And obviously it's a journey. So as you do it more, you'll uncover more, and then you'll become more skilled, and it'll just become so natural to you.
Exactly. Sometimes we don't have the answer. And I guess that's where you're looking for help. Yes, of course. Sometimes, the thing is that some people come and to me and they said, yeah, but I don't know. I don't know what I like. I don't know what I want to do.
I hear this a lot.
Then figure out. When is the last time you took time to actually figure out?
I have my daughter. She's 15, turning 16. And every time I ask her something like, I don't know. I was like, that's good. Then that's a starting point. Try to know.
Exactly. Anything. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But often what happened is we said, I don't know. We get frustrated and we don't want to get there because it's painful, because, it's uncomfortable. There's something that I don't know. I'm here and I have this position. How come I do not know that? And I felt that so many years. How come I cannot figure out what makes me happy while I'm traveling the world, being in a board meeting? How come I cannot? The ego is like, how come I cannot do that? Again, this is the art of fulfillment.
That's a limiting belief anyway.
Yeah. And it's not black or white.
Yes.
It's just you need to try to uncover it. You need to want it. If you don't know what you like, then ask yourself, what are small interests that I have? And maybe I can start reading a book about it. Find solution. When it comes to a role in a company, if there is a problem, we'll find a solution, right? We do everything.
Yes.
We research, we ask people, we really work hard.
We hire consultants, yeah.
Exactly. Same for life. We don't have all the answer. And most of the time when we dedicated many years in professional career.
Skill development. And,
exactly. We don't know the other part, and that's fine. It's not a problem.
Yeah. I'm kind of annoyingly weird in this way, because the moment I figure that I don't know something, I get so excited.
Yes.
It's like, okay, this is a new realm of knowledge that are now, because the problem is you don't know what you don't know, right?
Absolutely.
And the moment you know what you don't know, in theory, you should get excited, because that's a new world of knowledge that is opening up to you. Go, figure it out. The problem is if you don't know, like you said, and the other problem is, and I hear this all the time, and I go back to the problem of how do I try to know, and you said it so, eloquently, which is talking to the right people. And, I asked you, how do I know the right people? And you said, do your own homework, search online, listen to podcasts like this, see long form discussions between people or someone who's talking in a way that maybe the chemistry will work during that digital discussion, and then make the leap of faith and contact that individual or that person and start and try. And that's the first mini risk that you could take in your own self path of development. So you're at night, closing your eyes, you're introspecting, you found out that, I don't like this, you found a person, and now you engage. Mm-hmm. What's to expect?
Well, it depends what is your issue, but at least by the end of a process like coaching, you will end up knowing yourself much better.
What is coaching?
Coaching is opening your perspective, having tough conversation that you don't have with anyone else, usually, and seeing the world a bit differently. Doesn't mean change, because change depends on you.
It doesn't mean change,
It depends on you. If you don't want to change, you can be coach and not change. If you don't want to change, you can just, stay where you are. However, if you want to change, coaching is going to open your perspective and allowing you to see what you don't see, and sometimes challenging you, because again, when you are at that position, you know how to get, things in your way.
Yes,
and people who are challenging you, you always have the last word, right?
Yes.
So a coach in that sphere, okay, I'm talking more about C-suite above, let's say, and business owners. is someone who's going to challenge you, challenge your mind again. I'm not giving advice. I never give advice. I genuinely don't give advice.
That's key, Lucie, because most people go to coaching thinking that they want advice.
No.
Right?
For me, I have a process that you're going to go through. I'm going to ask you questions so you can go through this process. I think I know anyway. I've researched on the process that can maybe open your mind.
Okay.
But there's no, you do this and it's done. Again, it's not the science of achievement. Here we're not achieving anything, let's say.
Yeah.
We are more understanding better what makes you happy and how can you be happier and fulfilled. And we dive into things that are so intangible that, are so,
Yeah, it's more of an exploration of a journey.
Exactly. That's it. Okay. That's asking questions about yourself. Maybe you'll stay where you are in your mind. Maybe you open your mind to something else. But
maybe they will stay even if they want to change. You think so?
No. What I mean is that maybe at the end, their decision will be on that topic.
Right.
I stay here.
So when they figure it out, one of the scenarios is this is the best possible scenario. So walk me through a typical. Let's say I'm a CEO, of a large organization. I have thousands of people reporting to me every week. I'm in a different part of the world. I'm a global corporate leader. I contacted Lucie. I pulled the trigger. What do I expect? What happens?
Well, you, first of all, will analyze your mindset. That's the number one, because that for me gives me a lot of information that you would not tell me except maybe in 4 weeks. So I want to be fast. We want fast results. And I was a CFO, remember? So it needs to be. So that's what we're going to do first. And that will allow me to ask you some questions.
What is that, analyzing the mindset? Is it a survey?
It's a test. Yeah, it's a test called the Mindset Factor Index that I'm using here. I think I'm the only coach here in the Middle East, but it's still worldwide known. So we start like that. We start having a conversation and defining what is it really that you want out of this program.
And what's the expectation out of this test or survey?
Yeah. So it's the expectation is just to understand why are you stuck right now. Is it?
So it's an indication, some sort of
exactly. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
For example, there is a graph where we have different factors, and some of them are activated, some of them are not activated. And so it can say for me or for the client, it can tell me that the person do not have a clear vision, and this is coming because they are fearing, or maybe they do know what they want in the future. But because they're scared, they're not even allowing themselves to write down that vision.
Wow.
For example, or it can be, I know that you need to be in an environment where you're learning and you're growing constantly, but right now you're not learning anything. And that is impacting your ability to create a vision for you, which make you stuck. Or this is impacting your self-confidence. You kind of knew that you can achieve whatever you want, but right now, because you stayed so many years in an environment where it's boring and you're not learning, you start doubting about yourself. And we can have that information. We can have the information that if you have beliefs that are holding you back, what are also your neural habits, meaning the pathway that are going into your mind. Example, when you're frustrated or angry, what do? Some people get angry at their wife. Some people eat a cake. Some people go running. Some people isolate themselves. That was me. So when you can point that out, you have a different conversation from the beginning, because we can say, so what is it for you? I'm going straight to the point. They don't have time to waste. I don't have time to waste. So that's why I do this analysis from the beginning. So we start very strongly. And from that, we'll go into the introspection phase. I am a fan of introspection. Even if you come to me saying, Lucie, I want to be the CEO of that group and that will make me happy, I will challenge you and ask you, why do you want to get there? Remove the money. Why do you want to get there? What is the reason why you want to be at that position? So we go through that introspection phase, and I give them tools, also. It's not, we do 101 coaching, but I also give them
homework
tools.
That they have to do
exactly.
At home,
Because introspection is something that you do best by yourself.
Very personal.
And I want people who work with me to get into that habit of introspection, meaning that if it's not every day, it's not every day, but if it's twice a week, at least twice a week, they take 10 minutes to ask certain questions. Now, what I have noticed when I was a CFO and I wasn't fulfilled for an unknown reason, I didn't know where to start.
Right.
I didn't know what question to answer.
Yes.
And so what I've done is that I have created an online platform with all the questions that they need to be able to answer by themselves, and a process to help them go and answer, to help them go through and answer that question.
Right.
So that's what we start with. Those questions and our one-on-one coaching around introspection. Usually, they start getting insight and breakthrough. And that's where we go into the second phase, which is a process that I have researched and tested before, which is alignment. So alignment...
After introspection?
After introspection.
So introspection is the awareness phase.
Exactly.
So
who am I and what I want?
Exactly. They know, and they have this kind of... They lower the guards, they understand.
Your mind is much calmer because all of a sudden you get clarity of who you are.
You're not anxious anymore.
No. I mean, it's not 100% no anxiety, but it's becoming clear what is it that you want, and you start to accept that. And that brings a bit of peace of mind.
Okay. And which is necessary for the next stage.
Yes, it is.
How do you know that now it's that? So what do you do to inspect the person's...
It's during the discussion. You see how they change, but also they come with a lot of ideas. You know the fire that I talked about before?
Right. It's ignited.
That's where it's starting. Oh, I thought about this actually, and I read a book about it. Oh, I start doing that. You see, you can see the motivation a bit coming, and the inspiration, and also they start to believe in themselves again, because
the language changes when they talk about themselves.
Absolutely. Despite the fact that maybe 100% of my clients, they know that if they have nothing, they can do it again. Despite that, they still don't choose to move past that, to take action. So that introspection will give them the reassurance that, they understand what they want.
Which is necessary. I mean, it's 100%. So
it's a number one step.
Now they know, they're aware, you finished.
Yeah.
Then next stage. Alignment. So
I call that the 3 life habits, by the way.
Okay.
That's, for me, this is the way to live your life if you want to be fulfilled and successful and use your full potential. This is what you need to do often. Second step, alignment. Alignment is, what do I need to implement in my life in order to get where I want to get, where I want to be. So creating that vision, what will my life look like, and what do I need to implement in my life? This is a very rational step. We remove the money from your head. We remove the fear. We remove everything. So far, I'm not focusing on that. I'm focusing on, literally, if I want to open my business tomorrow, how much money do I need on my bank account every month? How much money do I need to survive if I don't generate client? A plan, something rational. What needs to happen? What skill do I need to develop? Which people do I need to meet? What are the things that I need to implement? This is very rational.
That's amazing. So you just ask them the questions to allow them to figure out their own plan.
Exactly.
Which is all the way to the how much money you have to have in your bank account once you leave your job until you're able to make money again. Yes,
because often in that phase, we get overwhelmed by the fear, by the saboteurs that I said, are you crazy? So all of these voices. So
internal and external.
Exactly. So I use rationality, which is okay.
Love that.
You don't know, you're scared. Let's make a plan. How much money do you have on your bank account? Sometimes we're surprised. Okay, so why is preventing you now? It's not the money, obviously. So what needs to happen? And I get that. I have that type of conversation because rationality at that moment is the only way. We didn't work yet on overcoming the fear. It's just like rationally, what do you need to do? And often we see that this is making sense, and you actually can do it if you really want to. So then we go to the next step, which is growth, which is what do I need to overcome in order to get there.
Okay, so introspection, which is the awareness part, this is where they know and they kind of become aware of things that they don't know. Because if you don't know what you don't know, there's no point in so if you have an unconscious incompetence, there's no point in trying to make yourself competent unless you know what's your incompetent in.
Absolutely.
So that's first part. And the tool that you have is the introspection tool, which is amazing, right?
Yeah.
And then second is the ability to do a plan, to make sure that you remove all emotions, you remove ego, you lower your guards, and you actually 1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah.
So you start with here.
Exactly.
Shutting down this.
Exactly.
Just this. Okay.
As
now,
if you are at work. At work, you need to have something done. What are the tasks that you need that needs to happen? I'm not saying it's possible, it's impossible. I don't care about that. It's just what needs to happen.
So in this, while I'm preparing my Excel sheets and I'm having all my bank accounts and everything else, it turned out that I am at minus 700,000 dirhams because I have 3 Porsches.
Okay.
And I have 2 apartments that I bought on a mortgage for 25 years, and I took a loan the other day because I wanted to go to Switzerland.
So you don't have the money, basically. You need money, basically, right? So that's why the introspection phase is extremely important, because that you will be so clear around what you have that you will make your own decision in order to, is it really what I want? And if it's really what I want, I figure out a plan. That's where also people come with idea. Actually, maybe I will sell my Porsche. Really? Are you sure you want to sell your Porsche? Like people, and that is reality. I work with a client. He said, I sold my car. Now I'm driving, I don't want to say any car because there's no judgment, but I'm not a Lamborghini, okay? Something that is maybe 25,000 dirham. He doesn't care. When I met him, he talked to me about his car more than himself.
Oh, goodness me.
But he came with the idea of just selling everything. That's it. And it doesn't mean, because I know people, when they listen to that, they think, yeah, but he's not going to make money. That's not true. Actually, that's not true. He's just on a path where maybe there is a down and he needed to make that step to get more money, but getting more money differently. Getting more money while being happy. And instead of having a Lamborghini and driving in alone, maybe he'll find the love of his life. Maybe he'll have kids, not in the Lamborghini, it's too short, too small, I know. But you know what I mean? Maybe he'll have people to share it with, and that is so much better.
So much meaningful.
Meaningful, exactly. So alignment, which is where we do the rationality, the planning, and the last plan is, what do I need to overcome in my life? What do I need to learn? What do I need to see? What do I need to accept in order to make that happen? And that is where it's hard. This part is hard, but it's obviously not impossible.
Why is it hard?
It's hard because this is where the change happens. This is where you start taking action. So it's no more just discussion.
Because talk is easy, right?
Yeah, exactly. But usually, if you do a good job in introspection, you get the motivation and you start taking a small step. Obviously, all along this process, I keep the introspection tool, because I think it's important to ask yourself some question. And I say that even when you're happy, why are you happy? Because make sure you keep that, What are the people that make you happy? What are the things that you have done that generate this fulfillment and these feelings that you are having? So it is a cycle all the time, from introspection, alignment, and growth. And you keep going like this. And that is, for me, the process that you need to follow if you want to have a happy, meaningful, but also successful life. It's not about turning off the ambition. It's not about achieving less. It's about achieving more. But I say all the time, perform happier. But that's the truth. This is what you're going to do. You're going to perform happier.
So you actually enjoy what you're doing, instead of just having the rat race of every morning, waking up, going what you do through the day, and then sleeping, and then on repeat.
Yeah,
forever.
Exactly. There is nothing wrong to work in a corporate, and I think that's something that I like to emphasize on, because often we think that the answer is entrepreneurship. That is not an answer. It was my answer, your answer, because we love what we are doing, because there's a lot of things there. But I also know people who are thriving in a corporate. You can have a lot of impact, and you can have a lot of purpose in corporate. Mostly when you are at those positions, you can empower so many people. Yes. And I think
the self-fulfillment from just seeing the impact on people around you is just, it's infinite.
Exactly. So we can have that feeling and that fulfillment within the corporate too.
And I love how you compared the entrepreneurship with corporate. Because yes, I get asked this all the time, being also in corporate all my life, and then just recently jumped into the entrepreneurship. And people was like, "Oh, Sam, I wish I can do that." I was like, "Don't do that.
Do not go there.
Don't wish, because you'll never." I mean, the thing is, I don't wish to go back. Obviously, I'm happy what I'm doing now. But the point is not because of I'm in pain. No. It's not that. I really enjoy what I do, and I enjoy it infinite number of times more than what I used to do before, and that's a fact. But that's for me.
Exactly.
That's my shirt. That's my blazer.
Yeah.
You put it on, probably it won't fit you. So figure out your own way of what makes you enjoy, and achieve that self-fulfillment, isn't it?
Exactly. That's what we said from the beginning. Know yourself. Understand what you want, what matters to you. That's so important. Because as you mentioned, entrepreneurship, there is ups and downs, and it's hard. As hard as going to a work that you don't like, for example. Yeah. So it's not an answer. But I feel like we have this idea. When, let's take an example, someone who is drained, exhausted, tired, almost burned out, and they would come and say, the only thing I want is to work from a beach, in Mexico, and have this flexibility. This is just an escape.
Yes.
This is not the reality, because that exact same person who has been burned out because they do too much, they need to be in an environment where they do a lot.
Compensate, yeah.
So if you put them on a beach in Mexico doing nothing, after a month, they'll be about out. They'll be like, absolutely. I don't like that life. I want to go back. So it's important to understand yourself enough so you don't end up on this beach thinking that you don't want to do anything, you don't want responsibilities, just to realize that actually that's not true. You want to grow, you want to learn, you want to empower people, you want to be in a corporate maybe different from the one that you were before. But that's an important question. So again, that's why it's important to understand really what matters to you and to ask yourself some questions.
And asking for help.
Yes. If you don't know, you can ask for help. There's a lot of coaches around, okay? So you have to select, you have to qualify. Very important. I see coaching as a partnership. So you need to make sure that you partner with the right person, someone who wants to fight for you, someone who is committed to your change. That's number one, someone who understands what you're saying and what you've been through. I think it's very important. And I would take that very seriously for anyone that want to come and work with me. I tell them, assess, have other call with other people. It's a vibe thing. It's an energy thing.
It's a chemistry,
Exactly. That we are a partner now. Yeah. You need to tell me everything that you are feeling. So you need to trust me and you need to put all of that into my hands. Because I'm the one who will ask you the right question. Because that's my job. That's my skill. So that is very important to define, the right coach for you. But yes, do ask for help. Because if you have this ambition, if you know that you can do more, if you know that whatever you will do when you have a clear vision, you'll get there, then why are you not doing it? And don't tell me it's for your kids, because your kid would be so much more empowered by someone who is fighting for their idea, someone who is waking up every day happy, taking them, to a place and with a big smile and not on their phone all the time.
Yes.
Do not think that kids want you to make money. Kids want you to be happy. That's true. Of course, money is important and it gives you the freedom
100%,
to pay the education. Exactly. That is a tool. So for me, if you don't know, ask for help. If it's not a coach and you really don't believe in coaching because of just
stigma or whatever.
Exactly, because you've been coached maybe before, you don't have a good experience. I don't know. But do that step. At least do it for yourself, for the respect toward yourself, because you deserve that. Do that step to talk to someone, a friend, and tell them the truth about yourself. Tell them that you feel lonely. You'll be surprised how people are going to react. They're not going to tell you, shut up, what are you? Or they are not your friend,
There's another cultural trait in this part of the world, which is fear of judgment.
Of course.
People hate to be judged. And it's not coming from an empty place. It's because it is a culture based on absolute judgment. People judge people all the time. It's a matter of strength to survive through that and in spite of that. We cannot change the world. We cannot change the environment around us or society.
Yeah.
But if someone judges me because of whatever, so be it. If I'm secure enough in my own personal abilities, in my own image, to a point where if someone judges me, I don't even move a muscle and I just glide through it as if it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Eventually it won't exist.
Let them, as Mel Robbins says. That's true.
Let them.
You know, it reminds me of an experience that I had.
Yes.
And I'll say it. I went to an event with business leaders, all right? And so it was at the beginning of my coaching career. It wasn't easy for me to say out loud that I was a coach, because I was a CFO before.
Oh.
And so I thought, I was judging myself basically. I was like, no one is going to take
perception is projection, right?
Exactly. So anyway, I went to that networking event with very smart people, very big title. And when we start the conversation, we all say what we do. Mm-hmm. And so I'm working crypto and I'm a CEO of that and that. And I was very ashamed of saying, I'm a coach. And what I did at that moment is that I just own it. And I was like, Lucie, you've done that, you know why you're doing this. And that's the time now to stand up for what you believe. And so I said, I'm a coach. And I saw in their eyes the judgment.
Oh, wow.
But I kept going.
Okay.
And I said, this is what I do. And, and I was extremely vulnerable in my speech. And I said, I was in finance before. I didn't say CFO on purpose. I said I was in finance before. And I realized that I felt very empty. Despite my achievement and everything that I had, I couldn't figure out why I wasn't satisfied. And honestly, everything that I heard from coaches, which is the truth, it didn't resonate with me, because this was for people who don't know how to get things done. So now I'm that person to help them, to not get things done because you know how to do that, but to reconnect with yourself. I love my job. It's so nice. I don't know anything about crypto. And, I made a joke and they were asking me questions, not because of coaching, forget about the coach, but because they saw that it was true what I was saying and that I was just being myself. And I think when you do that, when you're yourself 100%, without shame, and it's hard, I know and I understand that, but when you allow yourself to do it, you can try to do it and see. I think people really lower their guard and they want to share. If you start sharing your emotion, they want to share
They
too.
matter immediately.
Maybe it takes a bit of time in the conversation and they will still try, to get to somewhere else. But if you are so natural, then things will happen. Yeah. And that is true because I'm young, I'm a woman, and I coach people who are 40, 50 years old, people who have much more experience of life, and still yet they choose to work with me. And that was reassuring for me, because I was like, okay, so that is true. When you are saying something true, when you're doing a good job, obviously, but when you are true to yourself, people come to you. It doesn't matter the age. It doesn't matter your title. What matters at the end of the day is the way you make them feel. And I think that's super important. And that's how we can try to start getting rid of those judgments. Yeah. And even if it's uncomfortable, even if you have to put your ego on the side, I promise you that at the end, the outcome is amazing. The more deeper connection, more genuine connection. There's a lot of things that are happening at the end.
Yeah, and I think the luck element here is whether you have support system around you from your family or not. Because I don't care if someone passing on the street judging me.
Yeah.
But if my own family is judging me or my own friends, closest friends are judging me, then I'm very unlucky.
Yeah. But also I think then you've made the wrong decision. It's hard, but I think there's a bit of responsibilities in that. Meaning that then why are you still choosing to hang out with those people?
Wow.
That's responsibilities mostly at that level is important. And I always ask the question, then if you're aware, why do you still choose that? And
okay. So it's the end of the year almost. And I'll tell you what, people have to make decisions. Talking to a CFO, people make decisions now, because I'll tell you what, I read a book many years ago, and in this book, it says every year, by the end of the year, you should do an audit to your circles. and you need to cut the 20% every year of the people that you know.
That's tough.
Very tough. And believe it or not, since I read it, which was, I would say 11 years ago, almost 11 years ago now, it seems like forever, I've actually consciously did an audit of people. Now, of course, when I say cut them, that doesn't mean that I don't respond to them. I just don't hang with them as much. Like I slowly phase out my interactions with them. And I actually ended up with a handful of people, even maybe one hand of people that I actually enjoy, and they can push me and I can push them. And it's not about the quantity. And of course, the cliche of quality and quantity, it's not just that.
Yeah.
But it's really a point that you mentioned earlier, which is taking care of yourself first.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like putting your own mask before taking care of of others. And I love the airline industry have nailed it. Every time you travel and you see, put your own mask first before you help others, and then they have a father and a child. You see how provocative that is?
It is, yeah.
Like I remember myself when I you travel for as long as you're living, right? But then when you become aware, you see it's like, really? My own child? And then the more you're into this journey of self-discovery and understanding how you can help yourself first, but also help others, you figure out it's like, yeah, of course, I have to eat healthy first. I have to work out first. I have to be in touch with myself first. I have to develop myself first to be able to play with my kid and not get tired after 5 minutes, to be able to be healthy when I'm 70 or 80 and play with my grandchildren and not be, because it starts with, it's not the egg and the chicken, it's actually starting from there.
Yeah, true.
And see how provocative it is. It's just crazy.
No, it is absolutely. And I think, the thing is, I remember I have a leader, actually. He was a leader in Ireland. When I was working in Ireland, he showed me that pyramid. And it was first you, then your family, then the business. And he told me that's how I work. So if you're not feeling good, you're not going to do a good job for me. So I want you to feel good. So how can I make you feel good? And that's true. Everything starts from you. Now, cutting 20% is really dramatic. I think, I don't know how to position myself in the following statement when we say you always have to be with people who are smarter than you and who are pushing you. I understand the outcome because it feels empowering and you're learning and you're growing. But I had a discussion recently, which I found very interesting, which was about when let's say you start your own journey and you're growing and you're married for 20 years to someone that didn't grow. Okay? How do you manage that? Or you are best friend for 50, 40 years, 30 years with people that didn't grow.
Yeah.
Does that mean that you need to cut them? And I think it's good to have a balance. It's good to be in a group where you learn, and it's good to be in a group where you can help them, because there's a love element also. And in love, you don't love because they're helping you to get smart or because you are learning something new for your business. You're loving them because they are them. And if you are that smart, then you understand that you can learn from anyone as long as you remove the judgment and try to be curious. You would be surprised. I always say that, but when I go back to where I come from, which is a very tiny, small town in France, where people are living completely differently from me, my dad always asked me, how do you do to always get excited to talk to people? He said, I'm so bored. It's always the same thing. And I tell him that I'm learning so much. I'm learning a lot about life. I'm learning a lot about happiness. I'm learning a lot about enjoying simple things. So when you look at things like this, you can really learn from anyone.
Yeah.
So it's really about having a balance and not confusing love, friendship with being surrounding with people that can lift you up. If your friends are lifting you up, then that's amazing. But, be aware that, again, this is this advice trap.
Yeah.
It's not because you're growing that everyone has grown. Like, everyone is on their own journey, and that's fine. If you can inspire them, that's even better. So why not hanging out with them? Maybe not all the time, but still not cutting that. I think it's an important point that
I think, your clarification of cutting people is very, very important because, it sounded like it's dramatic and drastic. And usually I dramatize ideas just to kind of get people kind of attention, they sit on the edge of their seats. But you're absolutely right. I 100% unequivocally agree with you. The way I do it is not whether they're growing or not, and not whether they're helping me grow or not. It's the toxicity.
Well, that's it.
It's the ones that I know every time I sit with, I feel drained, and they actually sometimes deliberately pull me down.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they're always having this nagging voice that keeps on questioning and doubting and critiquing. You know, like they become the critical of everything, and I'm like, just spare me. You know, like I accept a critic from someone who's done it, who's in front of me. But if you don't have it, you can't provide it.
No, absolutely. And this is, there is a difference between intentional living and not intentional, let's say, which is you choose really that this is in your is in your hand, you know this person that you have on your calendar for like a month that you never want to go, and when you go there, you're like, did I really like having this discussion? What did I learn? How did I feel after that?
Yeah.
You know that these people, you don't need to have them in your cycle, and that might be a tough thing to say, but there are people who are vacuum. You know, they just take all your energy, and you don't want them. You don't want that for yourself. So,
but because once you start getting in touch and understanding and aware about your own self, the first thing that you will recognize is those sources that are draining you.
Yeah.
It's like you have on your phone, right? Like it's noon and your battery is gone. It's like, what happened? And then you start inspecting the apps, and it's like, oh, this app, uninstall. You know? It's the same thing, isn't it?
It is. And it's very uncomfortable to be in that position also, because it's not easy.
How do you say no?
Yeah. It's not easy to just go away. And to just say, you never say, like, I don't want to hang out with you because you're boring. Like, you know, it's not something we say, or because you're judging me. Or you can try to have a conversation and say, you know, I do not appreciate that. Can we try to, you know, have a different type of relationship? Don't ghost people. This is the worst thing ever, right? But maybe try to have a conversation. If it's not happening, then that's just life. Some people also say you have to change your friend every 7 years. I've heard that. If not, it means that you're not growing. I don't know about that. I'm a very loner. Like I have very few friends. So I don't know what it is to have a lot of friends. But for me, that's the best way to be, and to, you know, I can be myself. I don't waste my time. I'm very uncomfortable with events where I don't feel like I'm growing or talking or having a vibe. So it's good because I know exactly with who I clicked directly, and that I cherish that so much. But sometimes you just have to let go of some people.
So let's end with a quick discussion about innovation and how all of this ties to innovation in our region here. And I would love to hear your perspective, because you have a fresh, still. You just walked into our kitchen and you're smelling something that we don't smell, right? Whether it's good or bad, I don't care. It's not a value judgment. It's just a matter of the fresh perspective. What do you feel and think? Most of my guests are very politically correct. They're very sort of, they beat around. Whatever makes you comfortable, what do you feel and think about innovation in our region? And we don't have to be specific about a certain city or country or anything, just our region as a piece of group of people.
I think the expectation that the region have in terms of growth is really high. And if you want to match that, you need to be top-notch in terms of innovation, right? But not only about having the ideas, but also making sure that the ideas are coming to you. So when we talk about entrepreneurship and incubator, for example, I feel that there is a culture here where we do not believe a lot in ideas. We believe a lot in what are your 5 years sales, you know, where if you want to be the new Silicon Valley, you need to invest in ideas. You need to be able to let's say, trust the valuations, because there are ways to evaluate companies, right? So I think you need to be more eager and willing to invest in ideas and in people. And if you don't understand that, then other countries and other regions will take those entrepreneurs. Today, we are talking about AI, for example. This is something completely intangible. You have to bet on something. Being smart about it. As I said, there are some valuation that can be done, but you have to accept that there is a bet on human and on ideas and on intangible things. So that's for the entrepreneurship part. For the corporate part, the culture is some things that needs to be worked on, I would say everywhere in the world. But if the region wants to be as innovative as they want, culture is part of that. You want to have that person in your company and in your country to raise their hand and saying, I have an idea, it hasn't been tested, it hasn't been tried before, but I really think that we can do it. And you want to allow people to raise their hand, because that's only how innovation is going to happen. Not in a culture where you have to fit in a box, you have to do exactly what you are told. Not in a culture where I'm fear of making mistake. But if I make a mistake and I select wrongly what I do, and if my boss or my leader is telling me, that's okay, what did we learn? How can we do next time differently? And I'm not beating you up for that. That is a game changer. That's nowhere in the world we have that. So if the region has that, either by having a program, either by, implementing national coaching, mentoring, whatever it is, program for the leaders, and that you make the Middle East the place to be and the place to work, I can guarantee you that your companies are going to, one, generate much more money, but also be much more innovative for sure. So for me, it's really about people at the end. It's not only about the technology. I had a conversation yesterday with a man who is working with a lot of very brilliant people who have PhD, who are doing a lot of studies, and they create a lot of good technology, But when it comes to create a business out of that, then you need to understand that the technology is not enough.
True.
You need to be a leader. You need to implement teams that want to work as much as you for your company. You need to let people bring new ideas so you can maybe make the technology even better. And that is innovation. Is really
freedom, right?
Exactly. You need creativity. You need people who have a very good vision of what can it be, even knowing that now it's impossible. But to do that, you need risk taker. You need people who are at ease in your environment. So your environment that you are creating is drastically important when it comes to innovation.
What's the biggest roadblock or hurdle or slower, like something that slows down achieving that, in your opinion?
Maybe the culture. Yeah.
What's stopping us from changing? Being risk takers, having the ability to empower people. What's stopping us from doing that?
I think we still see the world as, to perform, you need to do 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. You need to, this culture of, I need to be at the office just to show off that I am. I think there is a lack of understanding. I wish we could measure those intangible things. And that's why I'm working so hard with these mindset tools, because
the qualitative element of,
exactly. And that's something that I'm working on as a CFO, certainly, because I love analyzing things. But I'd love to be able to analyze more. Maybe AI is something that can come into the mix to that, but to analyze more when your people are happier, when your people are seen, what are the outcomes for your company? And I think we are a bit old school in that sense. We still think that performance means, working long hours, and there is a very big
growth
hierarchy.
Metrics on kind of sales or whatever.
Exactly.
KPIs are being achieved.
Yeah.
Well, that's not innovation, is it?
No, it's not. It's not innovation. And I think I even think that you need to kind of fail in order to get to another step. So you kind of want to have a failure.
Yes.
And you learn from the failure. But to get failure, you need to try.
You have to take a risk.
Exactly. But if there is one person in your company that makes all the decision as they want, only they want, it's only their way of seeing the world, you're not going to bring innovation. People are not going to stay anyway. The talent The talent people are not going to say. And we are in a place where there's a lot of offers. We can go left and right. There's a lot. If I'm talented, I can go wherever I want. So you want that person. Of course, you cannot maybe teach everyone, but you can at least work on your top talent and making sure it's
create an environment, the soil, the kind of the environment itself, and then it will come up on its own. You don't have to kind of be deliberate about, okay, I want that to be, I want that. Just create the environment, and that environment is cultivating environment, is empowering environment, is risk-taking environment. It's really designing for failure, to fail fast and cheap, so you can learn from these failures and then do more. And if you're not doing that, obviously you're not innovating, even if you're achieving your KPIs, which in my opinion, and this is my question to you, Lucie, do you think that we are kind of victims of the illusion of innovation?
I don't think so. I think maybe we're just not yet ready.
Okay. Good. So it's a timeline sort of thing.
Yes, I think so. So there's a lot of expat here. So we have a lot of challenges outside innovation, which is dealing with a lot of cultures, growing up fast. There's a lot of things that are happening. So it's just about how can I implement that environment as soon as possible? How can I create Dubai, because I live in Dubai, so I can talk about Dubai, the best place to work, and to generate those new ideas coming and to have people coming from the Silicon Valley and want to work here. How do I make that happen? It's not by having the best facilities in the world. Maybe that's part of it, but not only. There is a human element where people want to come here, and that's what you need to work on, I think.
The reason why I asked, do we have the illusion of innovation, is that, the PR element is over the roof. Events, marketing, talking about it, everything is about innovation here. But are we really investing in innovation, or are we buying innovation?
Oh, that's a very good question. I'm mixed. The thing is that when you have a lot of money to invest, then it's easier to buy it, right?
But are you actually sustainably creating the systems and the capabilities that will make you independently create innovation?
That's how they work. And I think that's where we need to point the finger at.
Yes.
Absolutely. Because it's easy to spend the money. It is easy to spend the money, and that's okay. That's good. That's a good place to be.
That's
nothing
bad,
to blame,
as long
right?
as it's deliberately and you have a start.
Exactly. But I truly think that there is a shift that needs to happen. Some countries have that already a bit more, let's say, where we understand that productivity is not ours, that the culture of a company is very important. I'm not saying we don't have that, but I'm just saying that I think that can definitely improve the innovation. And if we have the money on the side to invest, that's amazing. So
the reason why I keep on asking these questions is because I myself are engaged in research of, are we falling victims in the illusion of innovation? And the scary part is, to your point, the first part so if we apply your model on a nation, if you don't bring awareness, then you can't do any action afterwards. And the only way to know awareness is to know that your pain, and I love what you say, your pain is higher than your ego. But if your ego is higher than your pain, vis-a-vis PR, marketing, events, loud microphones that says we are innovating, but actually we're just buying innovation, then how can we ever change? We can't kind of cross the border to the next stage, which is planning to take action. One of the indicators is the Global Innovation Index, which is the United Nations Global Innovation Index, right? And I always refer to it because I've read the past 10, 15 years of it. It's part of my research. And we're not even, like, if we look at the trend, we're not going up. We're not going down, but we're not going up. It's like, nothing.
Because we invest and then we don't have the rest to support it.
It's not sustainable,
Maybe it goes down.
It goes down, and we're always trailing behind. So obviously the UAE, Dubai at the forefront, but still it's 32, 35, depending on the year. So this year we dropped a couple of points, and people will question. People say, oh, who are these people who are, kind of evaluating the innovations? Like, no, it's objective. It's the number of patent applications, the number of research papers that are peer-reviewed and published. It's the number of technology exportation. It's the number of business sophistication. So there are 7 actually metrics and KPIs. Some of them are qualitative, but most of them are quantitative. Like it's the number of papers. And then people is like, oh no, but the population is not as much as China or America. Guess what? China and America is not the number one. The number one is Singapore, Switzerland. Exactly,
Wow.
which is a tiny dot that you can't see. I mean, I bought my daughter, she's doing IGCSE geography now.
Okay.
So I bought her a big map. Singapore is just this little dot, right? And they're, I think, number 2 or number 3. Switzerland is number 1 for the past 15 years. And when you go deeper, obviously everything is normalized to everything. So it's like, you're all competing on the same playing level field, So there's no excuse for why are we not able to innovate. But the point that I think is, to your point, is the culture.
Yeah. Imagine that you are the first country to set up a transition plan for every leader, top leaders that come into Dubai, like the Middle East, all right? Meaning that they got a support that doesn't exist in the world. Doesn't matter what you pick, anything. Like they have coaches, mentors, whatever. They go through a program that help them to feel better, to be at ease, to have a smooth transition. If you do that, first of all, you will attract people not only because of your money and but you will attract people who really want to work for your country, and you will attract people who are eager to take more risk and who are going to spread the
innovation,
the innovation.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
It's all about understanding that money is great, technology is great. You can invest in that. There's another part of it, the people that are making it alive every day. And that's a very important part. And I think, as I said at the beginning, investing in ideas more than just around sales, because investing at the early stage,
which is the risk-taking element, right? You're able to think that, I'll tell you what, I have 2 groups of people that I know. People who are founders, who are sort of startup owners, and they're in whether it's Series A, Series B, in that stage of scaling. And I have investors. And when I talk to both, these people want literally to leave. So I have a couple who left to Far East.
Okay.
And I have people who left to the United States because they tried and tried and tried here and they hit a brick wall. Now, obviously, I'm not judging. I don't know. I didn't analyze and investigate their own circumstances, but that's the reality. And if I am one and I have that, then you can scale and see what the sample size is across the nation, right? But then also I have investors who used to be investors, but now they say, you know what, no more. It's like, why? It's like, because I invested in few and these people took my money and they didn't succeed and they didn't do things. And I'm like, but it is how it is.
So you see, again, the process, introspection, alignment, and growth, that goes there.
So can you design a nationwide program to apply this, like you mentioned, to everyone?
Yes, I'd love to.
Huh?
Introspecting, understanding why Singapore, Switzerland are ahead. What do they do? But really going there, it's not just...
But having really honest discussions about it.
Exactly.
Without having any sort of gods, favoritism, nepotism, all sorts of isms that stops you from seeing what it is for how it is, right?
And asking the people of the Middle East, would you create your startup here? Why and no? Do a national survey. What do you have to lose?
No, but that's the thing. I mean, I don't disagree with you, but because of the PR, because of the perception, people will always say yes. So sometimes asking people will give you a very skewed. Now, I'm not saying that it's wrong.
Yeah.
But it will give you a skewed. It's like KPIs, right? If you're the head of the. No, I'll give you a small. This is part of my research. So I've researched a company, and it's on a double-digit growth, including during COVID.
Okay.
Right? So it's performing really well. So KPIs are met, revenues, EBITDA, everything, right? But then they're not innovating. And the reason why they're not innovating is that the leaders think that they're innovating because of their performance. Why change the status quo? And the problem is, all the literature says, if you have a culture that is control, that is command and control in its that central authority, you cannot perform well because And the cliche is innovate or die, right?
Yeah.
So how come they're not innovating and they're performing? And when I dug deeper, and this is not the result of my research, but now this is my follow-up research, is that because, as you said, we're an expat dominant demographic here. The workforce is expat dominant.
Yeah.
People work in spite and despite having all those of the cultural traits that are not really conducive to innovation. And what happens is they come, they punch in, they actually work because they have a KPI to deliver, and then they punch out and leave.
Exactly.
Ideas get drowned, they get buried, and then you achieve. So what happens is at the top, people think that, oh, we're performing well, we're quote unquote innovating, vis-a-vis buying innovation, right? So we're innovating, therefore we don't need to change.
I understand, yeah. So it's really about giving them another feedback, maybe another metrics, thinking
Awareness,
of other metrics and seeing how they can understand better the full picture of innovation.
Yes.
Not only the performance, but is it really sustainable that way?
That's the question.
You know,
That's
and what are people saying? What are people saying when they leave?
It's funny that you said that. I just submitted a paper to Harvard Business Review that had at the end of it, is it sustainable?
That's it. And innovation, I guess it's an ongoing process all the time. It's not you innovate, then you wait and you see, you can still grow like this, but at some point competition will come, new thing will happen, and you have to keep up with that.
And like you said, creative, talented people will have no problems in leaving.
Exactly.
And that's the danger.
It is the danger. And I think it's happening a lot, right?
I don't know, but I would expect it, because when you're a good person, like you said, I had a talk with a very dear friend of mine, Rabia Ataya, who's the CEO of Bay.com. And I asked him about the talent market. I was like, when is the kind of winter? When is the kind of spring? And he looked at me as like, Osama, for a talented person, they will always find a job.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you're talented, you'll always find a better place and people will snatch you. And therefore, if you're a culture that, to your point, which is not cultivating to that talent, they will have this brain leak within the organization. And then all of a sudden you'll have yes men and yes women. You'll achieve your KPIs, but then you're not innovating.
Yeah, and you're damaging also.
And you're damaging the people on the way, exactly.
Yeah, which is not what you want.
How long are you planning to stay in Dubai?
I don't have a plan.
Nice.
No, I don't have a plan. I came here I got promoted basically. I didn't have any idea of how long I want to stay in Dubai. I know everyone say I'm staying 2 years and then I leave and they stay for 10 years. I don't have a plan. Now it's been 2 years almost 2 years now that I have launched my company. So I want to continue doing that. I think the Middle East is very
fascinating.
Exactly. Fascinating place to do what I do. I'm learning every day and I feel I'm contributing on my little scale of what you're saying, making people the place to work.
Yes.
That's what I have in mind. It's the place to be for many reasons, but is it the place to work? That's what I want to contribute at my little scale, making people happy to come and work here. And hopefully the outcome will be more innovation.
Exactly, more innovation. Exactly. Lucie, thank you very much for your time. I really enjoyed it.
No, it was a pleasure. Thank you very much.